The real-time real estate segment today being brought to you by rsrmoney.com. Great tool if you want to monitor your credit, and you should. If you want to monitor your assets, and you should. If you want to monitor your budget, and you should. If you want to monitor your real estate, and you should. If you're thinking about buying a house, 97% of the homes in the United States are right there, rsrmoney.com. Impact of inflation on mortgage rates. If you're reading headlines about inflation and our mortgage rates, you may see something about the recent decision from the Federal Reserve. But what does it mean for you? Housing market and your plans to buy a home? Here's what you need to know. Inflation in the housing market. While the Fed's working hard to lower inflation, the latest data shows that while the number has improved some, the inflation rate is still higher than the target 2%. That played a role in the Fed's decision to raise the federal funds rate last week. As Bankrate explains, quote, keeping its inflation fighting streak alive, the Federal Reserve has raised interest rates for the 10th time in 10 meetings. Well, all I can say...
Such an idiot. Such an idiot. Such an
That wasn't part of the quote. The hikes aimed to cool an economy that was on fire after rebounding from the coronavirus recession of 2020. While the Fed's actions don't directly dictate what happens with mortgage rates, their decisions do have an impact and contributed to the intentional cool down in the housing market last year. How does this affect you? During times of high inflation, your everyday expenses go up. That means you'll likely felt the pinch at the gas pump and in the grocery store. By raising the federal funds rate, the Fed is actively trying to lower inflation. If the Fed is successful, it could also ultimately lead to lower mortgage rates and better home buying affordability for you. That's because when inflation is high, mortgage rates tend to be high. But as inflation cools, the experts say mortgage rates will likely fall. Where experts think mortgage rates and inflation will go from here, moving forward, both inflation and mortgage rates will continue to impact the housing market. And Lawrence Yun, chief economist at the National Association of Realtors, says, quote, mortgage rates are likely to descend lower later in the year as the consumer price inflation calms down, unquote. Mike Frattitoni, chief economist at Mortgage Bankers Association, explains, quote, we continue to expect that mortgage rates will drift down over the course of the year as the economy slows, unquote. While there's no way to say with certainty where mortgage rates will go from here, the experts think mortgage rates will trend down this year if inflation comes down too. To stay informed on the latest insights, keep listening to Ron Siegel Radio because we have that information for you. We keep our pulse on what's happening today and help you understand what the experts are projecting and how it will impact your homeownership plans. Bottom line, don't let the headlines about the latest decision from the Fed confuse you. Where mortgage rates go from here depends on what happens with inflation. If inflation cools, mortgage rates should tick down as a result. Keep us in mind. Now, I will tell you that as of this morning, just before I left to come into the studio, the market, the Fed futures, was predicting a 100% chance of a Fed funds cut in September. Cut. Now, Jerome Powell says, we're not cutting.
Such an idiot.
Yeah, we know that he doesn't follow that at all. But we also know that, no, don't say that about the Fed chairman. He just follows along. So the market is saying, yeah, they're going to drop in September. So we'll see what happens. You heard it here first. It's going to be somewhere between 5 and 5.5% will be mortgage rates by the end of summer, early fall. Yeah, Jim Norton's going to write that one down too.
I'm going to write that down. All right.
Okay, that's the real-time real estate segment brought to you by rsrmoney.com.